All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Cree, and you're listening to Outside the Ring Wrestling Podcast, aka OTR for short. And I just want to let you guys know that this week it is a solo effort. Paris cannot be here today, so if you want to cuss her out, just go to @PareeXO on Twitter, PareeXO, and just let her know how you feel. Gregory, curse her out if you have to. No, but I want to wish you guys a happy weekend, because if you're a student or if you're working or life is just pissing you the fuck off, we made it to the weekend, so we don't have to stress out too much. We'll just chill, relax, and do what we need to do. So obviously this week has been eventful. We have a lot to talk about, and we will get there. But yeah, can we just talk about the fact really quick that WWE managed to pull off not only a great pay-per-view, but 2 consistently great Monday Night Raws. We have to give WWE a round of applause, because I feel like as of lately the fans have been really discouraged with the product, especially because ratings have been low, and with ratings and it being Monday Night Football season or football season in general, WWE always seems to lose ratings a little bit, which is understandable, because even though wrestling is popular, it will never trump football, and that's just the reality that we live in, and that's okay. But, Vince has to find that way to bring in the viewers some way or another, because once football season is over, of course, a good majority of the fans that watch both will come back. But if let's say you're on the internet right now and you're hearing how bad Monday Night Raw is, you're not going to want to tune in. You're going to want to maybe catch up on the internet maybe a couple of days later, like some people do. Like if you can't watch Monday Night Raw the night of, I usually catch the episodes on a website, Hulu, whatever it may be. You catch it up somewhere. But as of lately, or excluding the last 2 weeks, wrestling hasn't really given us something that we had to see in that exact minute. So I want to say congrats to WWE, the superstars creative, because it's just something that was left to be desired in terms of the product, and they've been really delivering it. But without further ado, let's get into the podcast. Obviously, if you're a first-time listener, I'm just going to catch you up to speed. But if you've been listening since day one, we're going to start off with wrestling news. And, of course, the one that trumps all, our fearless leader, Seth Rollins, is going to be out for 6 to 9 months, because not only did he tear his ACL and his MCL, he tore his meniscus. And that is in the knee region. It was at a live event show in Europe, I believe Dublin, Ireland, where he was doing a typical spot, which was making this so much even sadder, that he was doing a typical spot with Kane, which was a sunset flip that led into a powerbomb into a table. So basically, if you can really imagine what I'm trying to say, Kane and Seth is on the top rope. Kane is in the position facing Seth, and Seth actually flips over Kane to go underneath him, where he can then do the powerbomb. And unfortunately, when Seth did his flip, he landed on his left leg wrong, thus causing the tear. And obviously, if you're a fan of Seth Rollins or a fan of wrestling in general, this kind of hit you hard. I remember when because Jonathan Coachman, who used to work for WWE, who now works for ESPN, he actually broke the news for me. 5 minutes later, I got the news on the WWE app, but my timeline kind of shut down. I think that was one of those moments where it got depressing, even though it didn't need to be. And it really fucked up my mood. I can't even lie to you. It really did fuck up my mood. Seth has been champion for 6 months since WrestleMania, and he was going into a feud with Roman Reigns now at Survivor Series. And what makes this so sad and so ironic was that last year around Night of Champions time, Roman and Seth were supposed to feud for the championship again, or rather they were supposed to have a feud. Seth hadn't been champion yet, but Roman got hurt. He had a hernia, and then he was out for about a month or 2. Now Seth is going to be gone damn near another year, and it's sad. And a lot of people were saying, it's kind of funny that everybody's all sad about Seth getting injured, and we didn't like his title reign. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm one of the people that was not in love with the last couple of months of Seth's title reign, I was kind of like, you know what, it's time for a new champion. It's getting real stale, it's getting boring. But in all actuality, like, I've enjoyed Seth since I've seen him in the Shield. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best wrestler in the world. And it sucks because this is how his title reign ends. In my mind, he's still not having his belt taken from him until someone else wins it at Survivor Series. So in my mind, he's still champion. But in all actuality, I want to give my heart to Seth, to any Seth fangirls or fanboys alike. You know, we lost a good one. But what I will say is that when he does come back, it's going to be the era of Seth. So, I mean, don't be too discouraged, because Lord knows we're still gonna get this Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins feud. I can guarantee you. I can feel it in my bones. It's just one of those things that happens, and it's unfortunate. But when we get what we're asking for, it's gonna be 10 times better than we ever imagined. So to Seth, I hope that you get better soon. And please don't rush this. You know, there's so many superstars that gets injured and tries to come back as fast as possible. But I'm just saying, like, take your time with this. We want to make sure you're 110% when you come back, because with this being a knee injury and we know the type of performer Seth Rollins is, we want to make sure that it's as if nothing ever happened to his leg. He comes back looking the same, if not even better. You know, WrestleMania tickets just went on sale. They even had a WrestleMania party the day before the injury, and now, you know, people are saying Seth is no longer on the poster, which, of course, why would he be? He won't be attending because he'll be injured. Unfortunately, a lot of people want to make it seem like he could still make it to WrestleMania, and don't get me wrong, you know, there's been instances where superstars have gotten injured, and, you know, they've been given these long timelines of when they can come back, and they've beaten those odds, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not because I don't see Seth being that type of competitor to push himself, but it's because I don't want him to. I want him to make sure he comes back better than he ever was before. I want to make sure that he's good. Like, that's something that could end his career if it's not properly healed and rehabbed. At the end of the day, we all know Seth Rollins is an amazing performer, and he will be missed until he comes back. I don't see him coming back until next year's Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, if earlier. But I think that because of the injury and how we're all hit by it right now, I think that it should be prolonged for a Royal Rumble, like a special occasion. Because I can't imagine him coming back for SmackDown or a regular or Raw, unless it's like a star-studded Raw. But other than that, I want him to make sure he's good, he's safe, and he comes back healthy. Because right now, wrestling is going to be really different in the next couple of months. And when he comes back, it's going to be refreshing again. It's going to have that pop that we needed. Of course, I'll talk about that a little bit later, what I think is going to happen with the WWE division for the boys. And of course, when Paris and I get back together, we don't even know when that will be, but when we do, we'll definitely talk about that. So going on to the next piece of news, Medusa versus Paige is a likely feud that's going to be coming up. You know, on Twitter, they've been beefing because, you know, Medusa is Instagram gangster. Like, she likes to go on Instagram, write these long memoirs of why she's just better than regular divas. But even though she loves them, she's just better. And, you know, Paige is just like, you know, I'll be a better champion than you. I won't throw my belt in the garbage. And I'm just letting you guys know, WWE, if you're listening, we don't want this. And we just don't. Like, you know, sometimes I don't mind part-timers coming back to do storylines with the younger generation and putting them over. I just don't want this. It's not fair to us that we're going to have to probably sit through another Paige title reign just so she can face Medusa for the benefit of 2K16. Like, I just don't care. I don't want it. Burn this title idea up. Throw it in the garbage. Ship it to Russia. I don't even know what to tell you. Get rid of it. Nobody wants this. I'm sorry. Bye. No. Bye. So it's been reported this week that SmackDown will be premiering on the USA Network coming next year, January 7th. And I'm kind of surprised that it took them this long to make the jump back to USA Network. Well, not to back to it, but finally to that network, because it seemed weird that it was always on Sci-Fi. But of course, you know, hopefully by this time TGIT is on break, because whenever I watch TGIT, if you guys don't know, thank God it's Thursday, which is basically ABC's primetime lineup of Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal. But hopefully by that time it's mid-season break so I can watch SmackDown, because I've been missing like the last hour, and the main events have usually been good and I want to see them, and sometimes I just don't want to look for the links online. I'm lazy, I don't care. But yeah, so I can't wait for them to make the jump, because it just makes more sense that Raw and SmackDown are on the same channel. Alright, so in our last piece of news, we found out this week that WrestleMania 31 has brought in $139 million to the Santa Clara area, which they had it last year in March. And this is actually the second largest impact for WrestleMania, behind obviously WrestleMania 30. So congrats to WWE, congrats to the Santa Clara area, because I think that obviously when you have a sporting event come into a particular city, it always does well for the city. It's economically, it's a boost for the city, and it's great. So obviously, I think Dallas is going to beat this record. I think it's actually going to beat 30's record too, because I believe WrestleMania 30 made $142 million. I'll double check that, but I think Dallas is going to definitely kill that, because with this being promised as the biggest WrestleMania ever, people are definitely going out their minds to buy tickets, hotels, and plus after seeing those WrestleMania packages, I know it's going to be super expensive. So Dallas is going to charge an arm and a leg for a glass of water if you guys aren't careful. But like I said earlier, WrestleMania tickets are now on sale. So if you are going to attend, unfortunately, Paris and I are not going to. We've been planning for like a year to go, but we couldn't get our shit together. But WrestleMania 33, I am making this decree. I'm speaking it into existence. We're going to be there. We're going to be there for the whole 4-day weekend, including WrestleMania Hall of Fame, Access, the Raw After, all of that good stuff. We're going to be there. Whether or not it's in Philly or Minneapolis, we're going to be there. It doesn't matter. We're going to walk if we have to. But yeah, if you're going to go to Dallas, I hope you guys have fun. Make sure you buy tickets that make sense to your price range. Don't try to go out your way for a 100 section ticket and you have the budget for a 300 section. So what I will say is plan appropriately. If you know you're going to be there, make sure you don't splurge now. Save as much pennies and dollars as you can, so when it comes to WrestleMania season and you want to buy gear, you want to buy great merch for your friends, your family, whatever you do, whenever you go out there, have fun, do that, so I can live vicariously through you. So yeah. All right, y'all. So that is wrestling news, and I'll be right back to talk about Monday Night Raw. Okay, y'all. So we're gonna do the Raw review, and obviously we're not coming off of the heels of Hell in a Cell, which was an amazing pay-per-view. If I had to rate it, I'd say it's a 3.5 out of 5. It could have been picked up in certain areas, and of course I want to talk about Hell in a Cell a little bit more in depth, but because Paris isn't here, I feel like I should wait a little bit longer. I will talk about certain things, but if let's say we are able to record maybe next week or the week after, maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. But if not, we'll just go on to the next thing, which will be Survivor Series. But I will say this much, that both Hell in a Cell matches were phenomenal. Kudos to Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, The Undertaker, and Brock Lesnar. Sometimes, with these Hell in a Cell matches, you are kind of concerned about which match is going to be the better match, or because of the build-up that we were receiving for both matches, we were really concerned that it wasn't going to be as good as promised, especially Lesnar and Undertaker, because I feel like after SummerSlam, we didn't really see much of them, at least in the form of interaction. So they gave it to us, and we enjoyed it. We have a new United States champion. So John Cena did his open challenge for Hell in a Cell. It was actually the first match. And, I was going to be kind of upset because, when John does his introduction and then he says, whoever wants some, come get some, the person will then make their entrance. And so, Zeb Coulter makes his return. So a lot of us was like, wow, this is anticlimactic, because we assumed it was going to be Jack. What am I talking about? We assumed it was going to be Jack Swagger. I'm sorry, guys. My brain is fried. But we assumed it was going to be Jack Swagger. So a lot of people on my timeline were like, yo, this is anticlimactic. I kind of don't even want this match to happen anymore. But then Zeb gets into his old spiel about how John Cena is a divider because, you know, with John, whenever he wrestles, he gets the dueling chants of let's go Cena and Cena sucks. So then he talks about wanting to bring people together for the differences, and then he says his new client, Alberto Del Rio. And I have to tell you, I marked out in that moment because, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone, but when Alberto Del Rio was here, I actually really enjoyed him. I thought he was super talented, and I was disappointed in WWE for letting him go because of what happened with Cody Barbereri, who was the social media coordinator that said those racist comments towards Alberto Del Rio, causing him to then physically attack him. Personally, to me, I felt like if anything, they should have suspended Del Rio for like maybe a month or two. But to actually get rid of him, that was crazy to me. But I'm glad he's back, and I think that him being champion is the best thing right now because he's a great competitor, and he does for the Latin community I hope one day what he does for the Latin community could be akin to what Eddie Guerrero did for the Latin community. So welcome back, ADR. You were missed. I don't want to hear no bullshit out of nobody's mouth about he's boring or anything about him not being deserving. That man deserves it. Let him have it. The Divas match, Nikki Bella, I have to tell you, girl, you and Charlotte put on a good one. The only thing I wish that there was a little bit more chemistry in terms of the figure 8. I was gonna say the figure 4, but she actually does a variation. The figure 8, I just hate that whenever I see her being put into it, it's like an immediate tap out. There's never like a reversal or any type of like fighting back. But that match was great. Nikki Bella is also out. John and Nikki are out. It's been rumored that Nikki has a neck injury. We're not sure if that's legitimate or not, but if it really is, I hope she gets better soon. I don't care what no one says. Nikki Bella has been doing an amazing job as a heel. She's actually the top heel in the business right now. So shout out to her. Shout out to John. You know, when he started doing these open challenges, they were like the best matches on Raw. And I know right now he's supposed to be filming something, so he'll be back soon. But in wake of this Rollins situation, and we'll talk about that later, like I said, but it's just crazy. So going into Monday Night Raw, we have Roman Reigns starting out the show with a promo, and you know I love me some Roman Reigns. So he talks about wanting to get his hands on Seth Rollins because, you know, Seth Rollins runs his mouth, but with that being said, Seth Rollins is also one of the best in the business. So surprisingly, Seth Rollins actually comes out, and he actually pays Roman Reigns a compliment too. He actually talks about how Roman is one of the best in the business as well, which is surprising to me because I remember a couple of months on SmackDown, I believe it was right before Payback, where they had the Fatal 4-Way with Randy Orton, Dean Ambrose, and those two, where he kind of made a joke about Roman Reigns' wrestling skill. But obviously since then, you know, Roman has improved tremendously. Like, he is light years ahead of where he was before WrestleMania and even afterwards. So it was kind of cute to see them play off of each other. I mean, they're no longer in the Shield, but these two still fight and bicker like they're brothers. But with that being said, the Authority actually comes out. And, you know, the Authority is teasing the fuck out of this match. They're like, you know, do you guys want to see Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins? And, you know, obviously the crowd wants it, but they're like, you'll get it, but just not now. But in place of that, because it is November and because Survivor Series is literally 2 weeks away, we're having a 5-on-5 traditional elimination match where it's Team Roman versus Team Seth Rollins. And what I will say about the last 2 episodes of Raw, it felt like an amazing build-up towards the main event. Like the week before Roman became #1 contender, they had qualifying matches that led up to a Fatal 4-Way. And that was just perfect. It was like a classic Raw. It brought back all the elements. It made us invested to actually wait till 11 o'clock or whatever time the main event started, and it was an amazing main event. All the people that were in it, I couldn't imagine someone else taking their place because at that time it fit, it worked. So once again, like I have to, kudos to WWE for putting that together. So Next, we have Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. And, last week, like I spoke of the Fatal 4-Way, it was Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, Roman Reigns, and I believe it was Alberto Del Rio, yeah. So, obviously, those two were in the match together. And with a Fatal 4-Way, anything can happen. So, this week we have a match between them two. And, the match started, but Tyler Breeze, who made his SmackDown debut the week before and actually attacked Dolph Ziggler in defense of Summer Rae, comes out. And he and Summer Rae are actually sitting in the VIP area. And the match obviously goes through, and Tyler Breeze does his distractions, and Dolph actually takes the bait, causing the win. And Kevin Owens is the winner of that match via pop-up powerbomb. Next, we have Cesaro versus The Miz. And I have to say that this is one of my favorite matches of the night. Not only because I'm a huge Cesaro fan, but it just really showed his ability and the crowd's passion for him. Months ago, Vince McMahon tried to say that he doesn't connect with the crowd, but with the rise of the Cesaro section and how everyone is just really taking a liking to him, I hope Vince is really paying attention. I really don't want Vince's personal feelings or his perception of Cesaro to really ruin his chances, because a performer like Cesaro is once in a lifetime for me. You can scrub the indies and you could probably find a guy who's just talented like him, but you can't find another Cesaro. You just can't do it. So, of course, there was a very quick win, but it was an amazing show. He did 24 revolutions of his Cesaro swing on The Miz and ended up winning via submission with the Hart family submission, known none other as the sharpshooter. So that was amazing. I feel like without Cesaro, we would have probably forgotten Tyson Kidd. And I love that about them. Their relationship is just amazing. So going on to the next segment, we have the Wyatt family actually talking about Undertaker and Kane and how they're no longer relevant. Their souls are basically in limbo, and they are the new faces of fear. And what I will say about this promo, I feel like the only reason it's memorable, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, no, this is his best promo to date, is because of the special effects. He had a lot of thunder, pyro, a lot of stuff that draws you into him, kind of like what draws you into Undertaker and Kane. But to me, I've given up on Bray Wyatt's promos. They're boring to me. They all sound the same. At the end of the day, he speaks well, and I will never take that away from him. That's one of his strongest points. He speaks well. You can never out-talk him. The only person that can out-talk Wyatt is Heyman. Other than that, there's no one on the roster that has the mic skills that he has, at least not to the capacity that Wyatt does. So, it was a good promo, but other than the pyro and all the special effects, would it have been memorable? Not really. So next we have another great match, the Lucha Dragons versus King Barrett and Sheamus. And obviously with Rusev being out, they would have probably had a 6-man tag, but Rusev being out, he's injured as well. They had this match, and it was such a quick, fast-paced match, but it was great. There was so much chemistry between the Lucha Dragons and Barrett and Sheamus, and it kind of makes you wonder what they're going to do with the Lucha Dragons, because, for now we've been having the Dudley Boys and New Day, and now we have this feud coming together where they're basically going back and forth with the titles, and the Dudley Boys want to be the 10-time tag team championship titles, and it's like we're looking for revitalization in the tag team division. So the Lucha Dragons are definitely the team to look out for. But yeah, the Lucha Dragons picked up the win, and that was a really good match. So kudos to them. Next, we have Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger in the background talking. And, Jack is kind of confused as to why Zeb is now with ADR, because when they were the Real Americans, Zeb was completely anti-immigrants. And now Zeb is all about coming together and being a multicultural society. Him and ADR form the Mex Americans. And it's something that he wants to kind of extend to Jack. But, ADR is kind of he's territorial, if you will. He doesn't like having to share what he doesn't need to share, meaning Zeb in this instance. So now we go to the next match. We have ADR versus R-Truth, and this was a quick match. Like, obviously the whole point was to make ADR look amazing, and he goes over, and I love his finisher. It looks brutal, it looks effective, it doesn't look like as if, you know, someone has to act to make it look like it's painful. Like, it looks painful, and I'm sure it is. So ADR picks up the win. Next, we have New Day and Seth Rollins in the background, and they're doing a promo, and basically Seth needs 4 other members for his team. He already had Kevin Owens come up to him earlier in the show and basically say to him, you owe me one if I'm going to be on your team. And so New Day comes up, and it's just Kofi Kingston and Big E. And, you know, they beg and they plead, and then Seth says, okay, you could be on my team, but we just need one more member. And with all their unicorn might, Xavier Woods is back. And, you know, Xavier Woods was gone for a week or so. I believe it was to sell an injury, but in all actuality, we want to congrats Xavier Woods. He did get married, so congrats to you, sir. So now he's back. And so Team Rollins is completely formed. And yet, you know, no one has been brought up for Team Reigns yet. Even though we already know Dean Ambrose is willing and able, he's just, no one has really been officially announced. So next we have one of the most anticipated matches of the night. And it was announced on Twitter hours before the show that we were having a Divas Fatal 4-Way. And I was excited for this because, you know, the match entailed Brie Bella, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Paige. And obviously the winner of this match will be the number 1 contender for the Divas Championship. Now, a lot of people looked at the people in this match and thought, you know, Brie Bella, why? She's not as strong as NXT girls. Paige, why? But, you know, we all knew Paige was going to win. But what I will say about this particular match, I was really surprised at how the crowd reacted to it. It was a good match. It could have been way better, but it was well-timed. It was well-executed. They did have an amazing spot in the middle of the match where it was kind of like a double suplex or powerbomb type set. And the people who you thought would stand out in this match didn't stand out. And that's the confusing thing to me. So, you know, everybody has been chanting, we want Sasha for the last couple of weeks. And I feel like whenever they get her, they never really fully appreciate her. I just feel like we want Sasha is a way to be disrespectful. It's kind of akin to the AJ Lee chants or even CM Punk chants when AJ Lee was still wrestling. I thought Sasha Banks would get the biggest pop out of the 4 women, but it was actually Brie Bella, which is surprising because so many of you online like to go on like you hate the girl, but she and her sister, whether or not you guys like to admit it, they are the Divas division. They are the faces. They are the most lucrative of all the girls. As much as we love Sasha, Sasha ain't moving that weight in terms of merch. At least not yet. I'm sure she does well for herself, but right now she's nowhere near a Bella. At least not in that status. But like I said, this match was great. Brie Bella and Becky Lynch put in the most work out of all the girls. I already knew Paige wasn't going to do much because she was going to be the winner, but Becky really proved herself. What I will say about Becky, though, is I do wish she hadn't been called up at the same time as Sasha and Charlotte. I feel like she has a title reign waiting for her at NXT, and I hope that one day she could go back down there and really get to prove herself, because I feel like she's been lost in translation ever since she got to the main roster. And then for Brie Bella, shout out to her. Like, a lot of people, they downsize her or they underestimate her in terms of her skill compared to the NXT girls, but she put in more work than Sasha and Paige combined. So shout out to her. And of course, like we said, Paige was the winner of that match. No surprise there. So, of course, it is the match that everyone has been waiting for. It is the 5-on-5 traditional elimination tag. Team Rollins, which, of course, is Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and New Day, all 3 members, versus Team Reigns. And, of course, it's Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. We got Ryback, and the return of the Usos. And I have to say, I was so hyped for their return. I've been waiting for the Usos. I know Paris has been really waiting for them because she loves them down. And they're finally here. The only thing I would have said was to make it more suspenseful, was have the Usos come out last, because everybody already knew Dean was a given. We suspected Ryback just because Kevin Owens was in the match, so it was a given. But in all honesty, no shade to Ryback. Cesaro could have easily taken his spot and made it whatever, but Ryback was in the match, and then the Usos come out. But the Usos actually came out after Roman, which was weird because they're the one returning. They should get the most acknowledgement. But of course, the match is underway. I can't speak enough of how great this match was. It was a 5-star match. I'm like, I really be looking at WWE sometimes, and I'm like, how do you keep giving us these bomb-ass matches for free? It's just so crazy to me. And it's like every time Seth and Roman are supposed to feud, they put on a great-ass match on Raw, and then something happens to why they can't have it. They can't have their match. But of course, going back to the match, I'm going to just read off the eliminations in the order that it happened. Xavier Woods was like the first 5 seconds of the match, kind of like Mark Henry last year at Survivor Series. Then next was Kofi Kingston, and then the Usos, starting with Jay, then Jimmy. After that was Big E, Ryback, and then Kevin Owens was the last of the team to be eliminated. But unfortunately, it was just Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. And of course, they're going to bully Seth Rollins to pieces. But Seth was like, not on my watch. So he did what he does best. Plays human chess like none other. He got a chair and just got disqualified. And he was able to attack both Dean and Roman and get away safely. Thus ending this week's episode of Raw. And of course, now that we know what happened, it's kind of unfortunate. But I want to talk about the state of the division now that Rollins is out on injury. A lot of people have been saying it. It's been the talk of Twitter. Now that Rollins is out, it is time to push the mid-card. And I mean, strap 15 different type of rockets to them at one time and just let that bitch go. It is time for the ultimate pushes. In my mind, like I tweeted, I'd be pushing Breeze, ADR, Owens, Reigns, obviously, Dean, and Cesaro. Those are the main ones that seem to get the most reaction, or people really are thinking that they're going to be the next big thing. Cesaro, like I said, but I'm biased. I think that if he wins this championship, because at Survivor Series there will be a tournament to crown a new winner, Cesaro should be it. Obviously, with Sheamus looming as Mr. Money in the Bank, there's a possibility that whomever wins will lose to an immediate cash-in. But I feel like because of Seth, there's no way they're going to let Sheamus be champion. And that's just how it is. I feel like he's going to lose this cash-in because he has no reason to be champion. Like, there's no reason for Sheamus to be champion. He doesn't serve any purpose to us right now other than trying to put someone over, because they don't have anything for him. He's facing the Lucha Dragons and he's losing. He's facing Neville and he's losing. Like, all these people, it doesn't make sense. So, like I said, Cesaro, if he wins this championship at Survivor Series and he carries it until WrestleMania, that's a decent first title reign for me. Like 4 months, that is a great title reign. And obviously with Cesaro, he could fucking wrestle a broomstick and make it look good. So Vince, just do the damn thing. Like, I know you have your personal feelings, and I feel like it's hard for someone to be as talented as he is and not be pushed by his own boss or even favored by his own boss. It's hard, but you have to see how the Cesaro section is going off for him. Like, they're losing their fucking minds. And so, with that being said, push Cesaro. Like, why is this such a hard debate to have? Obviously, ADR, he just came back as United States champion. And then we have Kevin Owens, who's been Intercontinental champion for about a month or so now. And they're two hot commodities. Obviously, we have the NXT product doing its thing, but I don't think we need to make anyone from NXT the champion right now. But what I will say, push them to make them look like strong contenders. Obviously, I don't want Reigns to win at Survivor Series, and I'm a huge Reigns fan too, like I said. But I feel like he deserves the big one, WrestleMania. I just think it'd be too damn easy if we gave it to him at Survivor Series. because if Seth was still healthy, he wasn't going to win anyways. I feel like there would have been some interference from not only Sheamus or probably a potential heel turn from Dean Ambrose. Even though, in my personal opinion, I think Roman should be the one to turn heel. It's more better for his character because Dean Ambrose is still going to be Dean Ambrose with the heel turn. There's going to be no difference in character. With that being said, so yeah, like I said, this is a time to push the new talent. And, there have been reports. I don't really know if I believe them yet until we'll see on Raw, because Raw is going to be very interesting. This is probably one of the episodes I feel like is going to get the highest ratings for the year, because with Seth being gone, everybody wants to know what's going to happen now. But these reports are saying that Cena and Lesnar are going to be coming back early. And with Cena, he's reportedly taping a reality show. And Brock Lesnar, he did get some nasty bumps. He did actually bleed at Hell in a Cell. Whether or not he bladed or not, that's not the debate right now. But he's actually injured a little bit. So we're not really sure if these two are going to be able to come back, because it's going to be an obvious choice between Cena or Lesnar to put the belt on, because when you think about it, these are two people who've been champion numerous times now. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait for Raw. I know it's going to be insane. It's going to be one of those shows you cannot miss. Like, I swear to God, I'm going to make sure my internet is completely working, because I completely watch Raw via my computer. I'm gonna make sure no one calls me, no one tries to talk to me, make sure all my snacks or everything is in my room at one time, because once this show starts, it's gonna be amazing. Hopefully they use all this momentum of Seth being injured to do the right thing and push some people, mainly Cesaro. So yeah, next, obviously, with all this going on, it's going to be interesting, because I feel like a heel turn for Reigns would be appropriate right now. For me, in my mind, I feel like him coming out to do a promo on Raw would be like, wow, Seth Rollins was that scared he went and got injured so he couldn't face me. But obviously, I'm not sure what Vince's mindset on Reigns is right now, whether he wants him to be a face champion or a heel champion. I think he needs to be heel. He could probably have that face turn at WrestleMania, because it's 4 months away. There's so much time for characters to change and develop. So that's my little bit on it. But Vince, you need to trust the new guys. You need to put your faith in their hands, because after all, this is the future. Like, when Cena retires and Brock Lesnar no longer wants to do this, because according to him, he doesn't even love this to begin with. It's just a check to him. You're going to need these new guys to carry this company on their back. And Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, that's one of the feuds that will make you money. Because a lot of people in general were already going to tune into Survivor Series because of that match. So, once again, when Seth Rollins comes back, and he comes back stronger than ever, and Reigns hopefully stays in a fucking bubble and doesn't get hurt, that feud will fucking sell out arenas. So that was the Raw review. Okay, guys, so you know what time it is. It is time for Wrestling Rants. And if you are new to the podcast and you're not aware of what a wrestling rant is, it usually is when Paris and I go off about any wrestling topic. 9 out of 10 times, if you listen, it's about the Divas division. But it could be about anything we want, even if it's not WWE based. You guys can either email us at theotr101@gmail.com, and you can email us your rant and we can read it for you. But today, it's going to be a little bit of a treat. We had a listener send us an audio clip of his rant. So one of my good Twitter followers, Gregory, who I've been dying to meet for the longest, sent us in a rant about the Divas division. And, I was kind of afraid, because he sent it to us about a month ago. And unfortunately, at that time, this was right before Night of Champions, and we recorded the predictions podcast. So we haven't been in the studio since then. So when he sent it to us, we were holding on to it, hoping that when we come back, it would make sense. And I listened to it a couple of days before actually coming in here, and I was kind of laughing to myself, and I'm like, it's crazy with the Divas division how You can leave them in June and come back in November, and the same thing we were talking about in June is still relevant today in November. But obviously, this was something that happened maybe a month or two ago, and it's still relevant. So I want to say shout out to Gregory, and without further ado, this is.
All right, what's up, y'all? This is Gregory. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw me post that I wanted to be on the podcast with Paris and Cree. I was kind of joking, kind of not really, but Cree and Paris hit me up saying, what's up? You need to come through. So here I am coming through. All right, today I'm going to be talking to y'all about the Divas Revolution. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I know that y'all don't want to hear me talk all day. So we just going to jump right into this. First, we're going to start off with Medusa's comments. Medusa posted on Twitter, not Twitter, but on Instagram, a little mini rant. I'm not going to go into all of that because I'm sure Cree and Paris are going to go into all of that in more detail. And I'm sure y'all already saw it and read it, so I don't really need to go over it. I'm just give you my opinion on what she said. Alright, so here's my thing. I may not agree with everything that Medusa said or whatever, but I feel like Medusa made a name for herself in wrestling. She's a big name. She's a great wrestler, and she accomplished a lot regardless of anything that happens between her and WCW and WWE, whatever the case may be. She made a name for herself in wrestling, and she was a great wrestler. So she has a right to voice her opinion just like all of us. She's a fan of wrestling just like all of us. So I'm not going to be critical on her for what she said about the Divas and the Divas Revolution. I feel like whenever a wrestler says something that everyone else doesn't really agree with, they like to call that person bitter or something like that. And I'm not going to call her bitter. I'm not going to, trash her for sharing her opinion. It is what it is. I'm going to just say that everybody has an opinion. And I feel like when it's a big name in wrestling like she is, when someone like that voices their opinion on the Divas Revolution, it's going to garner up attention for the revolution. So, in my opinion, it was a positive. I don't care if she said something negative. I don't care if she said something positive. The fact that she was even talking about the Divas Revolution means something because she got everybody on Twitter talking about it. She got attention on the Divas Revolution. And that's one of the things that I feel like is missing in the Divas Revolution is that people they don't really care about the revolution. They don't really care about the ladies. They just don't care anymore. Like, I know for me and Lena, we talk about this all the time. We talk about the ruthless aggression era, and that's the time that we grew up in. We talk about all the girls that we used to like watching growing up. And I know for me, when I first started watching wrestling, I watched for the divas. The ladies were everything for me. That's all I watched wrestling for the most part. And I feel like times have changed. A lot of things have changed for the better, and a lot of things, have kind of changed for the worse. For example, I remember growing up, there was tons of bra and panty matches. There was tons of diva swimsuit competitions and tons of lingerie matches and stuff like that. And the divas just had to show off their bodies and stuff like that, and they kind of had to be sex symbols and be good in the ring as well. But I feel like that kind of sucks. I feel like it kind of sucks that for the girls to get over back then, they had to be sex symbols. They had to show off their bodies. They were posing for Playboy, hoping for a come up. Like, for example, Ashley. Everybody know Ashley was not a good wrestler at all. And not all of that was her fault. I actually talked to Ashley through DMs a while back, and she would tell me about how bad she wanted to be better in the ring and how they just weren't training her. They would have her go over a couple of moves before a show, and then they would have her in a match. And, it's like they basically set her up to fail. But since we're talking about Ashley, let's talk about how when she posed for Playboy, that elevated her career. She instantly became popular with the fans. She instantly became popular in the division. That her posing for Playboy got her ass a match for the women's championship at WrestleMania. Showing off her body, being naked, and being a sex symbol got this girl a women's championship match at WrestleMania. People can say, "Oh no, it's because she was nice and she was easy to work with." No, fuck that. She got that because she did Playboy. She got that because she showed off her body. She got that because she was willing to be naked in front of a camera and she was willing to be a sex symbol, and that's what got her a women's championship match at WrestleMania. And she didn't deserve it because she couldn't wrestle. She did not deserve to have a one-on-one women's title match at WrestleMania. She didn't deserve to have a women's title match, period. But she got it because she showed off her body. Let's talk about Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson wasn't a good wrestler, but she did Playboy. Everything I remember about Tori Wilson was her being half naked. And you know what? Everybody fucking loved Tori Wilson. Even when she was a heel with Vince's Devils, they loved her. Everybody cheered for Tori Wilson, and she was not a good wrestler. So why were you cheering? It's because she looked good. It was because she wasn't afraid to take off her clothes. And I feel like that was the main thing that got these girls over back in the day, is the simple fact that they were not afraid to take off their clothes. They were willing to be naked. They were willing to be sex symbols. They were willing to show off their bodies to get a come up. And I feel like that's sad, and it sucks that they had to do that, but at the same time, it worked. So a lot of divas did that. Like, let's talk about Candice Michelle. She did that. And after a while, she got tired of just being a sex symbol, and she started training. She started training harder and harder, and she improved a lot, and she became women's champion. But at the same time, she did Playboy. She was naked. She was half naked. She was showing off her body. It's stuff like that. We're not going to forget that. I'm not going to forget that. You did work hard and you did improve, and I respect you for that. But I feel like at the same time, these girls had to be naked in order to get these men and these fans to care about them. And that really sucks. And I feel like that's the one thing that I don't ever want the Divas division to go back to. I never want the Divas to have to show off their bodies to get a pop. I never want the Divas to have to be half naked to get attention. I never want my faves to ever have to get into the ring and be in their bra and panties and be on their knees barking like a fucking dog for Vince McMahon. I never want to see any of my faves doing some shit like that for attention. I never want to see any of my faves doing any of that shit like that to get a fucking storyline. I never want to see them disrespected like that. I don't care if Trish did do that shit and then talk gracefully about it and then say that it elevated her career. I don't care if Trish did the shit and then smiled about it. I don't care if Trish said she wasn't hurt about it. It didn't hurt her pride. I don't give a fuck about that. At the end of the day, I didn't like seeing that. I don't like the way that they treated the Divas. And now I feel like it sucks because they don't care about the Divas in creative, and the fans don't really seem to care about the Divas because I see it all the time. Oh, the Divas match, okay, piss break. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm going to go eat this, or this, she sucks. She can't wrestle. It's like, oh, this whole thing sucks. It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, because y'all always talking about how the Divas division sucks and you wish it could be so much better, but then you bitch and you moan and you complain and you fucking boo and you talk about, you fucking chant for JBL and Michael Cole in the Divas match, and you're chanting for wrestlers that aren't even in the match when the Divas are wrestling. You're being disrespectful, and that's why the Divas cannot prosper. The Divas Revolution will never be anything because y'all don't care. Y'all just don't fucking care. It has to start somewhere. Simply starting trends on Twitter, that shit lasts for a week and then it's over. Like, you gotta do better. If you want better, you gotta do better as a fan. When you go to the WWE live events, don't sit down. Don't fucking cheer for somebody that's not in the match. Don't fucking cheer for the announcers. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How you gonna disrespect the ladies and then, get on Twitter and talk shit? Like, I see people all the time, they boo Nikki. Okay, guess what? Nikki Bella is better. She ain't the best diva, wrestler on the roster, but she's better. It may have taken her 8 or 9 years to get better, but she's better. We're not talking about 8 or 9 years ago. We're talking about 2000 motherfucking 15. Nikki Bella is a good wrestler. She has improved a lot, and this is coming from somebody that could not stand her or her sister. Last year, I wanted these hoes to fucking retire, and forgive me for calling them hoes, but I wanted them to retire. I did not care for them at all. So I feel like I want all of the divas to prosper. I want everybody to do well. Look at Cameron. This girl on Periscope and YouTube crying because she wants to get back in the ring. And then I look on Twitter and people are just being so disrespectful. Oh, it doesn't matter how much Cameron trains. She'll never be a good wrestler. She'll never be this. She'll never be that. Who the fuck are you to say that? Who the fuck are you to say who is a good wrestler and who's not? Let's see you get in the ring. Let's see you go across the ropes. Let's see you roll across the ring. Like, people love to talk shit about stuff, but you're not doing anything to help them get better. Do your part as a fan. Go to these events and cheer. Go to these events, take signs for your faves. Stop being disrespectful and cheering for other people, and maybe we can get a change. Maybe we can get a change. We can't just depend on creative to do everything, because obviously they're not. Obviously creative is shit. Obviously creative sucks. So as a fan, do your part. Continue to support your fans. Continue to support your fave. Look at me. Alicia Fox is my favorite diva on the roster. She's been in WWE for 8 or 9 years, and she's been disrespected the whole motherfucking time. She had a Divas title reign, first ever and only African American Divas champion. Her title reign was fucking a month, and the only reason she was champion was so that she could lose the title to Melina. And I love Melina, but that shit was low down. And even after all of that, I'm still here cheering for Alicia Fox. I'm still here supporting Alicia Fox. Even though the fucking shit that they have her doing on Total Diva sucks, I'm still here supporting Alicia Fox. I'm still here. When I go to events, I take a time for Alicia Fox. Or I cheer for Alicia Fox, because I still support my fave, even though they not doing shit with her. This whole Team Bella thing, okay, what the fuck ever. At least she's on my TV screen. At least she's getting to wrestle. Because for 3 years, she was on Superstars. For 3 years, she wasn't on Raw. And if she was losing. If she was on SmackDown, she was losing. So I feel like support your faves. Go to these events and cheer. And that's how we start a revolution. Who the fuck cares about which diva did this or which diva started the Divas Revolution? Nobody fucking care about that. Let's talk about right now. Let's talk about what we're going to do today to make things better for the future. Because right now, things fucking suck. It sucks. And it's not all on the divas. It's not all their fault. Yes, they all can't wrestle. They're all not great in the ring. But they're trying. They want to be better. The majority of them. They want to be better. And the ones that really, 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 truly have passion for it and really, really, really want to be better and want to do more don't get the opportunity to do so. I'm still waiting for Naomi to be Divas Champion. And I know people tired of hearing that, but I'm going to keep saying that until she becomes Divas Champion. And I don't give a fuck who gets mad. I want to see my face prosper. I want to see all the divas prosper. Even if I don't like the girls. Even if I don't like this diva. Even if I don't like Brie Bella. I still want to see her do well. Even if I don't like Nikki Bella. I still want to see her do well. I'm not going to trash these girls. I don't know, man. I just want everybody to do well. That's just me, though. Even the girls that I don't like, I want to see them do well. I want to see them get better. Like, I feel like when all of the girls are good individually, it's going to help the division as a whole. So, that's just what I want. Like, I'm tired of seeing girls get pushed aside and be disrespected. I'm tired of it. They did that to Alicia Fox for years. They did that to Natalya for years. They're still doing it to Natalya. They're doing it to Naomi now. Naomi should have been Divas champion before, but she's not. She's never been Divas champion, and that sucks, you know. And then I look at Cameron, and it breaks my heart to see her crying on Periscope because she wants another chance to be in the wrestling ring. She wants another chance to do well, and it really upsets me that people are so disrespectful towards her. And it's just like, I don't know, man. The internet just really ruins a lot of things. The internet, it helps in a way, but in a lot of ways, it sucks. But I don't know. I want everybody to do well. That's all I can say. But thank you for listening. If you enjoyed what I had to say, you can follow me on Twitter at xgregoryd. And let's talk. Let's see. What's up? All right. Bye for now.
Once again, we want to thank Gregory for sending in that audio clip of his wrestling rant. And obviously, you guys, you are welcome to do the same. If you want to send in an audio clip, or if you feel like you don't like your voice or it won't work out for you technology-wise, you can definitely write us an email at theotr101@gmail.com. You can send us the email, whether it be written or audio-based, and we will play it and or read it out for you. We just ask that you guys don't go a little bit too hard on the divas and superstars, because those are people with feelings. And yeah, so shout out to Gregory. I really appreciated that. It's something different every once in a while. And you guys, I want to thank you for listening. I know that it's been some time that Paris and I have recorded, and I have to be honest with you, we don't know when the next time we'll be back in here. Worst case scenario, it'll probably be the week before the Royal Rumble. I know that's into the new year. That sounds really bad, but school and life has just been hitting us in the face really hard, and we want to make sure that when we come back, it's perfect timing for both of us because our schedules are so different. But we want to thank you guys for being patient and sticking with us and listening to the show and sharing it with other people and just getting us out there. We really do appreciate it. You know, when Paris and I started this podcast, it was because we didn't really have a lot of women in the forefronts. Like, you know, there'll be women in other podcasts, but it was very male driven, and we wanted to make sure that people got to listen to a female driven podcast and show that women don't only just look at the wrestlers because we might find them attractive, but we love this sport too, and we will die for this sport. But not to be so dramatic. But once again, guys, I'm Cree. If you want to follow me on Twitter at Cookies and Cree, COOKIESANDCREE. If you want to follow Paris, even though she wasn't on today, PareExo, PAREEXO. That's our Twitter handles. You can email us at theotr101@gmail.com if you have any wrestling-based questions, or if you want to send in your rants, audio-based or written. And if you have any requests of us that you want us to talk about on the show, you can email us there. We want to thank you so much for listening. I know that it's been quite some time. I might upload this particular podcast on YouTube because I'm having some difficulty with SoundCloud. If that is the case, we do want to let any listeners on YouTube know that we are actually on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes under OTR Wrestling Podcast. So if you do want to subscribe to us there, please do so. It's so appreciated. And if this is on YouTube, please thumbs it up and subscribe to our channel. We really do appreciate it. Hopefully one day we'll be able to do an actual video podcast where you can see our faces. But thank you guys so much. Thanks again to Gregory. Thanks to the listeners, the people that share our audio podcast and all that. We really do appreciate you, and we hope that we get to come back before the year ends. But if that is not the case, we'll always be on Twitter tweeting about the pay-per-views. So thanks again, and I hope you guys have a great weekend and make safe decisions, guys. Adios.